Good afternoon, Rick from Iowa Worm Composting here. We got kind of a cool September day here in Iowa and just about coat weather, not quite. Today we're going to brew some actively aerated compost tea, and we're going to brew a 25-gallon batch in this bad boy. Some more examples of something you might be able to brew compost tea in is a 5-gallon bucket. And here's a 55-gallon food grade drum. We're going to make our tea in this today. I'm going to fill this thing up with water and we'll get the vitamin C powder in there to neutralize the chlorine. Then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the equipment and the brewer that we need and show you how that all goes together. And then I'll show you the recipe you're going to use to brew the tea. So stick around, it's going to be fun. Yeah, I got my barrel filled up here with about 25 gallons of water, and I'm going to add some vitamin C powder to it, and that'll neutralize any chlorine or chloramine that's in the water. And it doesn't take very much, only takes about half a teaspoon. So got a half a teaspoon here. I'm going to move the camera. See the water there? I'm just going to add that in, and I'm not going to stir that up. I'm going to put the air pump in there, and we're going to do that while that's sitting in there, neutralizing the chlorine. But I'm going to put the air pump in there and let that bubble, and be right back, and we'll show you how that goes together. Hey, we're back, and if we're going to make actively aerated compost tea, we need a few pieces of equipment that you probably don't just have laying around the house. One is a air pump. This is a commercial air pump. This particular one happens to be an Elemental. It's a 1744 gallon per hour air pump, and this will do a pretty good job on 25 up to about 50 gallons. Probably even 15 gallons and up it would be good. Be a little bit high powered for a 5-gallon bucket. In fact, I've tried it and the contents kind of blow out the top. So if you're just going to do 5-gallon brews, you may want to get a little bit smaller pump, probably about half this size. And you can see over there that I put, I've got a 32-gallon trash can. I put 25 gallons of water, about 25 gallons of water in it. And that'll splash a little bit out the top as we're brewing the tea, but that's okay. I like to use an airlift brewer. And this is a brewer that's designed by Mr. Tim J. Wilson. I believe his website is Microorganics, and he came up with this design, and it works really great. It's really simple to put together. It's basically some PVC pipe and some fittings and a plastic hose to hook it to the air pump. But this goes together just like this, and none of this is glued. We want this to come apart so that we can clean it. I put this little T section right here. This is the stand pipe. Then I put these two fittings here, 90-degree fittings with a short piece in between them to fit it. And that's our brewer for our 25-gallon brewer. Now I will say one thing about airlift brewers. You have to size them to your container. So I couldn't use this brewer like on that 55-gallon drum that I showed you at the beginning of the video. I would need a different size brewer. Same with a 5-gallon. You need to size your brewer to your vessel. One thing about it, these are really cheap to make, and these hoses can be moved. And now all I need to do is hook this hose to the air pump, and I'll get that done, and we'll be right back. Hey, I just wanted to zoom you in a little bit and show you the fitting. I've got this braided hose, and the air pump comes with like a barb connector, and I just have a little piece of gas hose and a connector, and I just hook it with hose clamps. Very simple setup. Use what you got. Okay, we're gonna go put this in the water. Hi, I'm back. I've got the air pump and the brewer in the garage right here, and I like to leave my air pump in the garage. The air pump is not meant to be submerged. It's also not waterproof, so you really don't want to expose it to the elements if you don't have to. So I have a long hose on my brewer that I can leave my air pump in the garage, and I can just bring the brewer out and put in the can. One thing you want to remember, if you can keep your air pump higher than the level of your water, in case the power goes off, you won't get a suction back into the air pump of your worm tea. So if you can keep your air pump higher than your water, that really helps out. And you always want to start your air pump before you put the brewer into the water. That way you don't get any backup of your worm tea into your air hose, so you have to clean your air hose. Because we're going to have to clean everything, but as long as we make sure the air pump's running before we put it in the tea, we won't have to worry about cleaning our air hose. So here we go. I'm going to plug it in. We're running, and I'm just gonna drop this right in the barrel. You can see that pumping water. We're going to need to hold that down because that thing wants to come right out of there. So I put a tarp strap on the barrel, and I'll do that right now. Okay, here you can see it. I've got the tarp strap holding the brewer down, and the brewer's running water. We're gonna let that run for a little bit, and I'm going to take it back over the table, and we're going to work up our worm tea recipe, but I'm going to let this bubble for about an hour before I add any castings or any other ingredients to it. Hey, we're back, and we've got our water bubbling away in our brewer over there, and with the vitamin C powder in it, getting all the chlorine out. And I also like to let that bubble for about an hour because it raises the dissolved oxygen in the water, and that gives the bacteria and stuff a big head start when you drop it in. So we're gonna talk about the recipe a little bit here. I've got 10 cups of Earthworm natural castings, which is our castings. We think they're really good castings. We make tea with them all the time. And to that, I'm gonna add a little bit more than a liter, 4.5, 5 cups of sphagnum peat moss. And I'm going to tell you the reason I like to add all these ingredients. The sphagnum peat moss add a lot of fungi to your worm tea. So in it goes. Right here I have some azomite, which is a rock dust, and this is micronized. And I usually use 3 tablespoons for a 5-gallon batch, and I'm making a 25-gallon batch. So that's 15 tablespoons, which is basically a cup. So that's what's in here is a cup. Going to add that. Then right here I have about 1/3 of a cup of Kelp Meal, and this is something for the bacteria and the fungi to attach to, just like the azomite. The bacteria and fungi will attach to the azomite, and it feeds the bacteria and gives them something to attach to, so that's why it's going in the brew. I don't usually do nutrient brews where I'm adding nutrients that you normally add to the soil, because I think worm tea is just a poor way to do that. So the ingredients I put in worm tea have a purpose, and that's basically to feed the bacteria. I'm going to add this kelp meal in, and that's the entire recipe. The only thing else we're going to do is I'm going to add a 12-ounce bottle of Blackstrap molasses to the worm tea after I get all the castings and stuff in here. I'm just going to kind of mix this up, and we'll go over there and we'll dump it in. Okay, I just kind of rough mix the materials in there, and it doesn't matter. Once I dump it in there, they're going to get mixed really well. So I'll meet you over there. All right, we're back over by the brewer now, and I just want to explain a little bit more about this airlift brewer. This just has 1.25 inch pipe at the bottom, so it's sucking all that water up, and it comes up this up tube, and it's oxygenating that water the whole way up, and then it comes down and it dumps back on the surface. And that breaks the surface tension and lets some of the carbon dioxide escape, which means you can get more dissolved oxygen into your water, which means you get a better bacteria bloom and bigger fungi. To give you kind of an idea of how much water this moves, I've got like a gallon container here, and we're gonna count. We're gonna count how much water is going through this pipe. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008. It's full. So we're running about a gallon of water every 8 seconds. And if I do my math right, no, that's about 7 gallons roughly a minute. This is 25 gallons in here, so it's changing the entire contents of this barrel every 3.5, 4 minutes. That's pretty good movement, and it makes for some pretty good tea. Now all we have to do is add our castings. And I don't put a filter bag or anything in when I do an airlift. When I use the airlift brewer, I dump it right in, because all the castings and everything's going to come right up that lift tube, and you get all the surfaces exposed, and you get really good bacterial blooms. Just dump it in. And that's it. She's all in there. The peat moss likes to repel water when it's dry, so I just kind of stick my hand in there and get it mixed up till it kind of starts to sink. As that sinks, that'll all get moved through that lift tube. As this brews, that'll turn really dark, and it'll get almost black in a couple of hours. Now the only thing else we need to add is the Blackstrap molasses. Got a bottle right here. It's a 12-ounce bottle. I actually used a couple tablespoons out, but it's close enough. We're going to add the whole 12 ounces. This can be kind of a slow process. It likes to stay in the bottle. And all the Blackstrap molasses does is feed the bacteria and the fungi, gives it a sugar source. So we've got the Blackstrap molasses in there, we've got the Kelp Meal, we've got the Azomite. It's all feeding the bacteria and the fungi. And the peat moss is in there just to add fungi. Peat moss is a really cheap way to get a pretty good fungal brew. Obviously, peat moss is pretty cheap, so it's a nice addition to your worm tea. I intend to use this tea. It's fall right here. It's 28th of September today, and I intend to put this worm tea on my lawn. A couple videos ago, I did a filtering and application, and showed you a lawn applicator that I made up to put it on my lawn, and you can look through my videos and find that. It's worm casting tea filtering and application. Okay, that's about it for this video. We got our worm tea going. I'm going to put a little plastic cover on this, not airtight, just to kind of keep the splash in. And we're going to let this brew for about 48 hours, and I'm going to dilute it about 3 to 1. I'm going to apply it to my acre yard. The grass loves it. So until next time, we'll see you. Bye.